Hello guys, it's David here and welcome to my channel where we talk about how to streamline your business with Make.com. Today the automation that I prepared for you is one of the most common ones, I think, at least in my opinion, and it's taking the data you get from contact form on your website and doing something with them, putting them in your CRM, putting them in contact, sending notification to you or to your sales guys, just doing something with the data. And this video will be a bit specific because the automation that I developed, originally it was for a contact form on a website on WordPress, WP forms, and I think it was a free version or something, so there wasn't a webhook. So I'm going to show you how to work with the data you get from the contact form when the only thing you have is confirmation email. So no webhook, no easy structured data. And yeah, let's get into it. So I prepared this board and I just really want to demonstrate quickly what are the steps. So the first step is obviously getting the contact form submission on the website. And then, as I mentioned, we don't have a webhook, so we only get email confirmation to our email that the new contact form has been submitted and, the different fields that are including. So that's receiving the email notification, and then we need to parse the important data. So it's just HTML, it's text, and we need to get the fields we want. So we need to get the name, email, phone number, the message, and any other information, really. After that, we want to put the information into our CRM. My CRM of choice is Clickup. And then I also want to add the contact to contacts on my mobile phone. And this depends on how big your company is. If you have some salespeople, probably this part won't be relevant to you, but if you're still calling up the leads yourself, it might be helpful to just have it ready on your phone so you can call them up as soon as you see notification regarding the contact form submission. The notification that I'm talking about, I use Slack for these notifications in my business because it's just the easiest. Usually when I'm trying to do some deep work or something like that, I have my email notifications turned off, but the Slack notifications specifically for the new contact form submissions are turned on, so I can react swiftly when a new customer comes. And the last step is sending confirmation email to the potential customer, to the lead, with more information, something they can use in the future, something where they can learn about the product or service that I'm selling even before I call them up. Okay, so let's get into it. And now I have this Make.com board, and what I want to show you guys are these two modules to start with. So I already mentioned that we don't have webhook with the WP forms free version, at least. So we can't use the webhooks form. What you would use in this particular instance is the custom Mailhook. So let me get into it. And so basically how Mailhooks work in Make.com is that you get this custom email address that you can copy, some gibberish at hook.eu2.make.com or like US, wherever you are located. And what happens is that when you send email to that address, it will parse it and basically it will act as a webhook. So that's the first module. That's the module that you would use, and you can add this email address, let's say, to the WP forms. So the contact form submission confirmation will automatically go to this webhook. An alternative to that, if it's going to some other email, is that you can at least in Gmail, you can forward the emails based on some keywords. And excuse my inbox, I'm warming up some new emails, so there's a lot of that. But how you do that is you go to filters and blocked addresses, you click create new filter, you can choose from address, so let's say david@leadbind.com, and where I would filter it is the subject. So let's say you want to filter it based on bookings confirmed, and the confirmation you get from WordPress. In the subject there will always be booking confirmed. So you can create the filter and now choose forward it, and you need to add forwarding address. I won't do that now because you need to confirm it. You need to log in back to your account, but you just add the forwarding address, and then when you get an email with the keyword booking confirmation, in this case, it will automatically get forwarded to the make.com Mailhook. So that's the module I would use in the beginning. One downside, and let me quickly show you guys with the okay, never mind. So yeah, what I will be using in this video though is Webhook, and for a simple reason, it's because I can more easily send there the test data. So the test data that I will be sending to the webhook, it's the exact data that you will get through the Mailhook. So let's get into it. So contact form, submission, email notification. So let me show you how that would look like, right? So let's start the scenario. And now what I'm using is Postman just to emulate the request, emulate the email that I would get. And so if I send it to make.com, you can already see kind of the structure of the data that you have. And here you can see the text. And that's basically what we need to do first. So the information we get is just plain text, and we need to extract the data. So we need to extract the email, the name and surname, the yearly revenue, and the message, so we can work with it further. So in Make, there are basically two ways how you can do it. First is text parser module, where you use match pattern, and you can parse the text based on regular expressions. But especially when we need more things, when we need to get more data out of the text, it can be a little clumsy, and what I prefer to use is just ChatGPT module. So if I add the ChatGPT or OpenAI module, what you want to choose is create a completion. Now you already need to have your OpenAI API key, but I'm sure you can find out online how to create one. It's a very easy process. And then the method we want to choose is to create a chat completion, GPT models. Now we can choose model. I think it doesn't matter that much. Anything from GPT-4 upwards will work for this, even GPT-3 maybe, GPT 4.0. I think, so the different models you can choose, there's different pricing that you pay for each token. So obviously the better the model is, the more expensive in terms of tokens it's going to be. That's why I choose GPT-4. I wouldn't go for the GPT 4.0. Now you choose max tokens. I think 150 should be more than enough here. And now how to set it up. So basically in the OpenAI module in make.com, you have 3 roles. And let me quickly explain what those roles are. So the first role is system. And this is the only role that you won't really know from using ChatGPT online. So system is a role where basically you're the developer and you can feed some context to the model. So in this case, I would say something like, you are a text parser. You get the data hidden, let's say hidden in a plain text, and you are extracting first and last name, email, phone number, yearly revenue, and message. So basically it's very straightforward. You're giving a context to the model. And now the other roles, first is user. So user is what is your input. So if you imagine ChatGPT, it's what you would type into the box and the message that you would send to ChatGPT. And then assistant, that's ChatGPT itself. That's the reply that you would get. And now, and let me just specify, you will export the data in JSON. So this is kind of important. We want the model to export the data in JSON, so then we can parse it, we can work with it further. Now, what you can do with the ChatGPT or OpenAI module is that you can feed it some examples, and based on those examples, it can give you better results. So that's definitely something we're going to do. Now, depending on the complexity of the text that you want OpenAI to process, you will need different number of examples. Obviously, the easier the text or the pattern is, the less examples you need. The more difficult it is, the more examples you need. And how you create example is, first you create user prompt. So that's already something I mentioned. And the user prompt, it's basically just the data that you would get initially. And I already have it prepared. So let me connect this module. I wanted to show you the basics, and now I will already take the things that is prepared and show you the details based on it. So let me disconnect this, connect this together. And so system message, already went through that. And this is the data that you will get in this case from the webhook. So basically it's, the text string, and as you see, the type, it's really just a string. It's really just a text that you would get from the webhook. Now, this is the data that you feed into it as user, and now you give GPT example of the output that you want. So it is formatted as JSON, as you see, with the curly brackets, then the quotation marks, the key, let's say the name, another quotation marks, and then the key. And obviously you separate it with comma. So what we want to take from this text, we want to take the first name, full name, the John Peterson. We want to take the email, johnpeterson@example.com. We want to take the phone number. Again, from here, we want to take the yearly revenue, the value, and then we want to get the message. So this is how you would structure it. You just want to give GPT really as many examples as possible. Here, completely same thing. Basically, we have user, we have the text that the GPT gets, just with, different variables. And then another role, you have the assistant. And again, you feed it with the result that you would like to get. And so after that, really, the last thing that is necessary to do here is set up role user and then fill in the text as the variable. So all these roles are just, let's say, helping roles. So it's the data that GPT will use to give you better results. And then the message 6, that's where you're getting results based on the previous, based on the based on the actual data. So yeah, that's that. Now let's run it again and let me show you what you get. So run once. Again, I will emulate the data you would get from the webhook through Postman. I send the data and GPT is processing. And now, okay, here is the output bundle, and really what the only variable you care about is result. And as you see, when we look in here, all the data we sent to it, we basically got it back, but in a structured form, it picked the correct data that we need, but it's still text. So for us to be able to work with it, we need to parse it. And here really it's a very easy step. And now this is not working for some reason. So again, I will just copy the module from before. But the module that we will use is in tools, and it's Parse JSON. So here we have the module, and the only thing you need to feed into it is the result. And you don't need to create a data structure. The data structure will already be created because the output from GPT is a nice JSON, because we told it to create JSON. So now, again, if I run it, send the data, the GPT is processing, it should give us the same results. But now we don't just have one text, but we actually have a collection of items: full name, email, phone number, yearly revenue, and a message. Now, the next thing that I wanted to do with this data is create a CRM entry. And as I mentioned, the CRM of my choice is Clickup. So you want to create a task based on this. Obviously, you need to choose your workspace and the list that you're going to be putting this new entry into. So give me a second for that. Okay, and there should be CRM testing. Okay, great. Now, task name, how I like to name it, I like to have the lead name as the task name. So you would choose the full name from this parsed JSON. Status, it will be lead, it will be the starting status, priority, whatever you choose, whatever you decide. Maybe, when you're getting leads from different sources later, you can set it up in a way that, let's say, if it's a contact form, the priority will be high. If it's a Facebook ad lead, that's probably not that warm. You can set the priority on normal. You can create your own system when it comes to this, basically. And then here I have different custom fields, and let's say in the phone number, you want to store the phone number. In the email, you can store the email. And then also I would like to put the message in the content tab. So in the content, I would like to see the message that I got, so it's all in one place. And I would even want to see the yearly revenue. So you can do yearly revenue first, then message. And now basically what you will get in the content in Clickup is both the revenue and both the message. Normally this is a CRM for kind of B2C business, so we don't have custom field that would say they would say yearly revenue, but normally you would probably want to have it as a custom field. Okay, so that's that. I need to reshuffle this, save it. Let me check if we have everything correctly, but we should. This really isn't that much of a science. Now, another thing that I wanted to do is we have the CRM entry created, and we can just check if we're really going to get the CRM entry, if everything is working, and yeah, everything is working as it should. So now the next step is adding this data to contacts. And now this basically works for any phone you have, because what we're going to use is Google Contacts. And if you have Android, obviously Google Contacts is what they use. But if you have iPhone, this also works. So basically how it works is if you have, because you know, that's also my phone of choice. And if you connect the Google account to your iPhone, the contacts from Google Contact will sync with your native iPhone app. So you don't need to, you know, have some special app or something. It will just sync into your contacts. So now you want to choose the Google Contact module. You want to create a contact. This is also very straightforward. Now, obviously, choose a connection. Let me just sip on this. Now in here, I would just usually put the task, and by the way, you want to have one source of truth, basically. So I wouldn't take it from the Clickup, I would take it from the parsed JSON. So we're using the same variables everywhere when we can. You could technically tell the GPT to separate the first name, the last name. For me, it's, you know, when it's just for you to have it in contacts and call the people, it doesn't matter really. I would just put it in the first name column. Now, if you're using it in this way, you probably want to also put something in front of it, let's say a lead, so we can easily see that it's not part of your normal contacts, part of your friends, but it's work related. Email, again, you can just choose the email from the parse data. Doesn't matter. Phone number, again, and notes. And notes is where I would put the yearly revenue and the message. And again, we can format it in a way that we put a little text to it, so we actually know what we're talking about. And now that's that. Let me test it again. And here I'm not sure if it will actually go through, because the phone number that is in the data is just made up. So I'm not sure if actually Google Contact is checking if the phone numbers are existing. So if it doesn't work, that's the reason why, but we'll see. Okay, so it worked even with the dummy phone number. So now we already took the data from the contact form, we parsed it, we put it into our CRM, we put it into our contacts on our phone so we can easily call them up. And now what I want to do is send a Slack notification just for myself or for your team if you have a sales team. And you know, just a very simple notification saying, hey, we got a new lead, call them up ASAP. So we want to create a message, channel ID, just select it from the list, public channel, and this would go into new form submissions, right? Now for the text, you can either use text or blocks, and basically text is just a plain field, or I think they're using Markdown, and then blocks, it's Slack's own way how to build messages, and you know, how to make them more fancy, and there are some fancy links, pictures, and whatever. In this case, the text will be more than enough, to be honest. And again, we want to use the single source of truth, and so let's just write out what, you know, the information that we want to see when we get a new lead notification. First and last name, email, phone number, yearly revenue, and message. Okay, we just map it. This is a very easy process, and that's it. This is really everything we need when it comes to the Slack notification. And the last thing is client confirmation email. So I want to send the client's confirmation that we've received the inquiry, and I want to feed them some more information about the service so they can already have some basic knowledge when we call. And so what you want to use in this case is the email module that's actually built in within Make, and we need to create send an email. Okay, that's the naming convention. So what you want to search for is send an email. Now again, you need to connect the account. Save message after sending. Yes, I would do that. I would save the message in a, let's say, send folder, so you actually see it after you send it. Because basically how the protocol, the SMTP protocol for sending works is that if you don't save it, the email would go out, but you would have no record for yourself that the email went out. Now recipient, I again am going to choose that from the parse data. We will use this email, subject, whatever, book, contact form confirmation. Now content, and here really you can write anything. Hello, we've received your inquiry and will contact you shortly. Thank you. It doesn't really matter that much. Of course it matters what you write in here, but not for the purposes of this video. The only thing that you need to know, you can either choose plain text, or what I would choose is the HTML. Now obviously this is formatted as a plain text just for the demonstration purposes, but you have the whole HTML on your tips, on your fingertips, to format the message so it looks the way you want. And yeah, that's it. Maybe last thing I would add, again depending on your use case, but maybe I would add the sleep function. So I would, you know, especially if you're trying to make it seem like it's not just a generic message, but it's something that you or your sales reps wrote, I would maybe add some random 264 seconds delay, basically, because all this, you know, the first part of the flow, make it very fast. Obviously it's a automation, it's just pieces of code, so all this will be ran in maybe 5 seconds. So then you can wait another 4 or 5 minutes before you send the email, and that way it seems more like a person. And yeah, that's it. I won't run this because the email address, it might be a real email address, so I don't want to spam this poor lady, Laura Martinez, if she exists. But yeah, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you learned something and that you learned how you can use Make in your business. And if you have any questions or anything that you would like to automate, please write it in the comments. I'll be happy to look into it and create a video just for you about how to use Make.com to streamline your business. Okay, bye.